Hello everyone, and welcome to your very first session in SOLIDWORKS. We're going to have a very exciting time where we begin to construct a gearbox housing. It's a relatively simple shape, but we will learn a lot from it. So first let's start with what happens when you first click on SOLIDWORKS to open up the program. You should get a screen that looks something like this. It's blank. You can see a quick access toolbar, which is very similar to many Windows programs, and also a menu bar, which is also very similar. To start a new part, which is what we're going to do, we're going to start a new part. You can either go to File and click New, or you can go to this blank page here and click that. That is the icon for New. And the very first thing you can see is you get a pop-up box that allows you to choose either a part, an assembly, or a drawing. This shows what SOLIDWORKS is capable of. It's capable of making part files, assembly files, and drawing files. These are the three main SOLIDWORKS file types that we are going to be dealing with in this course. Now your screen, it's quite possible your screen might look like this, where you can select a number of templates if you have any. If you see a screen like this, just go down to the bottom left and click Novice so that you see this. I also want to direct your attention to the SOLIDWORKS Tutorials button. You can click this and go through tutorials that were made by SOLIDWORKS themselves. But with part selected, we can either click on part, double click on part, or just click once and go to OK. And now we are in the SOLIDWORKS user interface, where we have our feature manager, where we have our task pane, our command manager, our ribbon tabs, and then of course our quick access toolbar and our menu bar, just like we talked about in one of the previous pages of this module. I want to also direct your attention to this area right here. This is going to be your view toolbar. All things that have to do with how you're viewing your model are up here. Like here's zoom to fit, here's zoom to area, it's like zoom to window. Previous view, you can even make a section view within your model so that you can see the insides. Let's not worry about that one. Here is a view cube that's very similar to Revit and AutoCAD, where we can select a face and be oriented to that view. Now there's nothing in our graphics area, which is this area right here. There's nothing in our graphics area right now, so it's not really making a difference. But when we have a model, we'll be able to use this area to see different things, to have different views. So first, let's talk about how we begin a model. Now, SOLIDWORKS is a parametric modeling software, which means that the model is going to be driven by parameters that we set. In other words, constraints, which is the terminology that Autodesk uses. You may find this term familiar from your use with Revit. You would set constraints on walls and windows and things, which would allow those different features to not be able to move. It's very similar to what we're going to do here in the SOLIDWORKS environment. We are going to create a model and constrain it with dimensions and different geometric constraints, or as SOLIDWORKS calls them, relations. SOLIDWORKS calls them relations. Now to get to a 3D model, first we have to start in the 2D, just like we did in Revit. We start with a 2D orthographic view, which is really just looking at a plane. We'll create a profile using lines and arcs and things like that. And then we will create some depth, or we will extrude or revolve that profile to make a 3D model. So let's choose a plane to sketch on, make a sketch, and then derive a feature from that sketch. So what I want you to do first is go up to your command manager and click on Extruded Boss Base. This is going to launch the Extruded Boss Base command, which will allow us to extrude material from a 2D profile. When you left click on that, notice that you are now able to see 3 planes, and your feature manager has changed over to your property manager, and your property manager is saying select a plane on which to sketch the feature cross section. So we have to select a plane where we want our profile to appear. For creating the very first thing of our gearbox housing, which is going to be the base of our part, we're going to click on the top plane because we're going to create our profile as if we're looking down on it. So I will click on the top plane, and notice that my view is automatically oriented with the plane that I'm sketching on, and I can see a red origin here which denotes my origin of my profile. I am now in this sketching environment. I know this by this red origin popping up. I know this by this confirmation area, which would allow me to confirm or discard any changes that I made to the sketch. I know that I'm in the sketching environment because down in the status bar I see editing sketch 1, and also in my feature manager I see that sketch 1 is below the rollback bar, and also in my command manager the sketch tab is active and the exit sketch is indented. All of these things tell me that I'm in the sketch environment. What happens a lot to new parametric modeling software users is that they will be trying to do something either in the sketch environment or outside of the sketch environment, but they are not in the right environment to do whatever they want to do. For example, say they're trying to create a sketch, but they're not in the sketch environment. By noticing these visual cues that I'm in the sketch environment, I can confirm that I'm in the right place and that I can begin sketching.